Hi, welcome to Smith and Grezzy. We're very privileged to have our guest with us this week. It's the one and only Mr. Derek Broadbent. Derek, welcome to Smith and Grezzy from me and Sandy.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. It's nice to be in this situation to have a chat.
We wanted to have a chance to talk about your long and varied musical career, Derek. So, where do you think we should start, Sandy?
I think we should probably go right back to the beginning, Derek. How did you get involved in music making and brass bands in particular?
Well, stop me when you want to sort of intervene and ask me any questions, fine. I'd like to say, first of all, that the most important person in my life, been in my life, was my mother. Now that will appear and be understandable somewhere down the line. One February in 1948, late February, when I was making friends with a young lad at school who was a bit older than me, and I was only 9, and I asked him what he was doing in the evening, and he said he was going to the local band practice.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother and father always went to the cinema on a Wednesday evening. So I said, oh, I'd like to come along. And so I met the guy. He was carrying an instrument, and we were walking down this country lane to the band room, and the instrument he was carrying was out of his case, and it was a tenor horn. What I learned later was a tenor horn. And I asked him if I could have a blow. So I had a tootle on this note came out at the end of the instrument, and he said to me, that's a G. I didn't mean anything to me, that was a G, okay, fine. So anyway, we got to the band room, and there must have been 8 or 9 youngsters sat on a bench at the back of the band room, listening to the band as the band started to play. But by 8 o'clock, they'd all gone home and left me. I was sitting on this bench all on my own and listened to the band playing. And at 9:30, and bearing in mind I'm only 9, at 9:30, I'm still sitting on the end of this bench, and the band finished their rehearsal. And one guy in the band reached into a cupboard and he pulled out an instrument, which I later learned was a cornet. And he waggled about, valves about a bit to get them working. And nonchalantly, as a 9-year-old, I said, excuse me, I said, could I have a blow? So he just said, how old are you? So I said, I'm 10.
Yeah,
In fact, it's true, because you had to be 10. And he gave me the cornet, and I got a note out straight away. And he said, do you know what that was? And clever me said, yes, it's G. And it was, of course, being the basic note come out of a cornet, it was a G. So he said, well, take the cornet home. He said, can you come back on Monday, which is learner's night? The band rehearsed on Wednesday evening and Sunday morning, and learner's night Monday evening. So, yeah, fine. And I put this cornet, it was in a wooden case, so it was quite heavy, really, for a 9-year-old to carry. And I had to walk home about 15 minutes, 20 minutes away to home. And of course, it's getting home for 10 o'clock when I get home, and my parents are just about ready to call the police where I am. And the saving grace was, of course, that I got this cornet and I said where I'd been, and that was it. So I did a little practice on this instrument on the Thursday when I came home from school, and on the Friday. And by Saturday, I was fed up. And the guy in the band room was showing me in this, he gave me a little right and round A5 tutor book. You might not remember those, a little A5 tutor book.
Yeah.
And inside he showed me the first part of the scale of C,
Right.
and what the fingering meant underneath. So, but by Saturday, I was fed up with these first 5 or 6 notes on this. So I searched through the tutor book, and I found the national anthem, which then, as it is now, was God Save the King. And I thought, oh, I know how that goes. So I'll have a go at this. And it didn't sound right.
Right.
So I had to understand why it didn't sound right. But right at the beginning of the musical stage, there was this little cross. So I looked through the book to find out what that was, and I found out that, of course, it was an F sharp and not an F natural, and that the fingering was second valve instead of first. So I had a crack at this first 6 bars of the national anthem, and and quite successful. So I trundled off to learners' night on the Monday, and when my turn came along, the bandmaster, said, "Right, would you want to play me something?" So I promptly stood there as a 9-year-old and played in the first half of the national anthem. It was absolutely unbelievable that I'd only picked this instrument up on the Wednesday, and that on the Monday I could basically play the first half of the national anthem, and that's where it all started.
Okay.
Now I went to band practice every Monday night for my rehearsal, for learners' rehearsal, and then I went every Wednesday. And I went every Sunday morning religiously. Sat at the back of the band room, put my cornet in its case under the bench, and did just listen. And then at 9:30, picked my cornet up and went home.
Right.
And I did this religiously until we got to basically the end of April, when the weather started to improve. And I lived in a little bit of countryside. And one Wednesday, and this is the key really, one Wednesday, my mother said, come on, Derek, it's time to get ready for band practice. And I said, I'm not going this evening. I said, it's nice weather. I'm going to go and play out with my friends. And my mother looked at me and she said, no, you're not. She said, you've been going to band practice every Monday, every Wednesday, every Sunday morning for the last 2 months or so. If you don't go this evening, you go and sit in your bedroom all evening, and on Sunday morning, you take that cornet back and tell them you don't want to play anymore. I said, well, I don't do anything. I just sit there. And she said, I don't care. You've been going. That's what you do. So reluctantly, I went to band practice. And I sat on the bench at the back. And the bandmaster came in and he said, Derek, come and sit in the band. That moment then, that's where
that was it.
That was where that's a long way around it. It was so important because for all the things I could talk about, we'll talk about, any questions to answer, whatever I've done in my musical life, I stop and I think, what would have happened if my mother...
If it wasn't been for that,
that's why I said she's the most important person.
Yeah.
For all, and you know about me and what we're
It was funny, I had very similar from my mum. And, I once wanted to pack in. My brother had already packed in. I thought, oh, well, I'll pack in. Oh, no, you're not. I'll get you a teacher. I met Jacko.
Right, okay. It's funny, isn't it? That's just that one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I again, I suppose you could say I blossomed from there. And in the September, when I was just 10, I was the assistant solo cornet player in the band.
Wow.
And the principal cornet player, obviously a man much older than me, but my brass band mentor, sadly he's no longer with us, but he looked after me. He taught me about what it meant to be in a band.
Yeah.
Didn't matter how good or indifferent we were. Just what it was like to be in a band. And we went on our first contest. And again, this didn't mean anything at the time, really. When you look back, it does, we went on a contest, and the contest was in Morecambe, in the Winter Gardens in Morecambe. And there was a choice of test piece. And I wish 4-section bands had played it, or even 3rd-section bands were playing these pieces now, because they were blossomed tremendously. And there were 3 pieces, all written by G.A. Greenwood. And there were one was called Wayside Scenes, one was called Pride of the Forest, and the other was called Nights of Old. Nights of Old is a super piece of music.
Yeah.
And that's what we were playing. And after a very good introduction, there was a cornet cadenza, and principal cornet player Ronnie, he set off playing this cadenza. Now I don't know why, with instinct, I've got no idea, because I was only 10. It went up to a top B flat or something like that, and nothing came out of the end of his instrument, but it did out of mine, because I ghosted it.
Right.
ghosted the note, and this little voice next to me said, "Carry on." So I finished the cadenza, and then I played the cornet solo afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think in the contest, I think we finished fourth. But the adjudicator was sitting in the open, in the Winter Gardens, in the orchestra pit. So then he looked at me like an elderly, grey-haired gentleman. And as we were coming off the stage, a voice said, "Young man, come here. Come here." And one of the band said, "The adjudicator wants you." And I walked to the front of the stage and I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 10, sir." And he said, "Well, you keep doing what you're doing, and one day you'll be somebody in the brass band world."
Oh, wow.
No, that didn't mean a thing to
Big
me.
protection.
Right.
Didn't mean anything to it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was Jerry Greenwood.
Right.
I didn't.
Composer.
Yeah, I didn't. No, whether I've been somebody or I'm somebody or lost somebody or whatever, that's for others to determine.
Yeah.
Not me. I just enjoyed what I'm doing, And Ronnie, principal cornet player, not long after that, he left the band and I ended up as principal cornet player in the band.
Right.
That's a wonderful story.
It is. So Derek, I've been reading off a little biography of you in a book I had, and it said that you eventually joined the Lancashire Fusiliers band. How did that come about?
Well, that came about really, again, it was almost going on from my life in the Thornton Cleaveys brass band, which was my band.
Yeah.
I've got to say, unfortunately, when I was 15, in the year that I was 15, just after Christmas and early in the new year, the band were playing on a contest in Blackpool. And when I got home from that contest, life turned itself over the top because my parents separated.
Mm-hmm.
And, my mother went one way and my father stayed at home. And I just felt obliged to stay with my father and carried on playing with the band.
Right.
But I was at grammar school and I wanted to be a diesel engineer. I think that was my sole aim. But I lost interest in everything.
Right.
Apart from playing.
Okay.
Events like that can throw you a lot.
I never missed a band practice. I never missed an engagement.
Right.
But school-wise, that went out of the window, really. And I realised that perhaps I should be following a career in music. Well, in those days, to my knowledge, there were only two colleges. There was one in London and one in Manchester. And couldn't afford to send me to do any of those. So I opted to join the army, and the Lancashire Fusiliers was a regiment that I knew somebody out of the band, the brass band. They joined a year or so later.
Yeah.
So that's the avenue that I went down, and that was in 1954. And then in 1955, when I was old enough to join the regiment, and the band came home to England, and then the regiment itself, the battalion, was disbanded into one, and we were sent to Germany and to join the 1st Battalion of the Lancashire Fusiliers. And out of good fortune, the application for me to go to Nella Hall in 1955 was accepted, and I went and I studied there with the late great Jack McIntosh, and that was really something else because he taught me so very, very much. He entered me for a Nella Hall competition, which was called the Cousins Memorial Scholarship. I didn't win the scholarship itself, but I got a prize for that. I got a Harvard Dictionary of Music, which needs a dictionary to read it. I still have it, and I still use it.
Crikey.
When there's something I want to know, unless it's very modern, you'll find it in that dictionary. It just takes a lot of understanding sometimes.
So, I mean, Jack McIntosh, he's, to those in the know and who know about the history of cornet players, he's a legendary cornet player.
Oh, that
How
was
do you think?
yes.
Yes, I thought it was.
Yeah.
How was he as a teacher and a mentor?
Well, for quite some time, quite some time early on in my years as a pupil at Nello Hall, it was his son that took lessons, because Jack was on tour with the orchestra and playing somewhere else. But he was a wonderful teacher in many ways, that he convinced you that you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I always remember he had I don't think you have these days, but he had his trumpet and the cornet were almost all in one case.
Yeah.
And he had an array of mouthpiece rims.
Okay. Screw on.
Yeah. So you got the one mouthpiece, and he kept changed the rim accordingly. But if he was late, and he always came on a motorbike. I said up on a motorbike with his trumpet strapped to the back of the motorbike, and you could be sitting there, for the want of it, trying to be clever and playing something like Facilito or Zelda or something like that, or the studies, and he'd creep in behind you. When he crept in, he'd got his trumpet, or usually his trumpet, not his cornet, in his hand. And you were thinking you were playing all these variations, and he played variations on your variations behind you. And it was a wonderful experience with Jack.
Crikey. I mean, that's
one of the heights.
Yeah, we're talking, people like Herbert Clark and that sort of ilk. He's up there with those sort of
still knocking.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're aware of the late great Harry Morton.
Macklemore.
Well, Macklemore was written for Jack.
Yeah.
Crikey. After my year at Nello Hall, I went back to my band, and they'd come home and stationed in the home barracks at Bury in Lancashire, and they'd lost quite a few players through demoralisation. So they were recruiting, and it wasn't long before I'd gone back to the band. It wasn't very long before I ended up as for the want of it, the solo cornet player in the band.
Okay.
But I also ended up as running the dance band.
Right.
So
where this came.
it was a bit new to me, but I played trumpet in the band, and then they sort of wanted to reorganise it all, and then there's some secrets coming out of my life here, really, because this is 1956, and the year of rock and roll. So I formed a rock and roll group. Within the dance band, I formed a rock and roll group. Well, I almost think it was probably the first rock and roll group in England that was unknown,
Right.
And I sang all the lyrics. I did all the Little Richard stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah, it was just part of life,
Yeah.
doing all that.
To our listeners, you learn something every day.
Oh no, this is all true. And so, in 1957, that was 1956, not 57, 55. In 1957, then the regiment had been posted to Cyprus. So we went off to Cyprus. And about full of them went off to Cyprus. So we took rock and roll live to Cyprus.
Wow.
Lots of it on the radio, but we took it live to Cyprus as part of the dance band.
Yeah.
And consequently, it wasn't long before we were getting all the dance band engagements on the island.
Yeah.
They were getting really, really popular. And there were two leave camps on the island. There was one in Famagusta, the three actually. There was a hotel in Crimea, a leave camp on the coast in Famagusta, and there was one in the mountain, the Troodos Mountains, for married families only.
Right.
And we used to do them periodically to entertain the families and troops. And we were up in the Troodos Mountains, and we were playing on a dance, and there was a great chappie talking to our bandmaster leaning on the bar. We were playing, of course, a bit of rock and roll that came in, and I ripped it up like everybody else, And And just shortly after that, the bandmaster said that he'd been talking to this Greek, quite a wealthy Greek guy, who owned a hotel just across the way from the army leave camp. And the following night, it was his daughter's 21st birthday party, an engagement party. Could we go over and play?
Mm-hmm.
So 7 of us got a transport over there the following night because we were free, and we did our entertainment thing, including rock and roll. And it was a great evening. And then the bandmaster told us that this guy, his name was Theodorakis, I can't remember his second name, but Theo for sure.
Yeah.
Was opening a nightclub
Mm-hmm.
just outside our cantonment, because the cantonment in Cyprus had various regiments in, but the one we were in, just outside this, maybe about 5 or 6 minutes walk, he was opening this nightclub called the Dolphin. And it was for English personnel only. It was for English officers and their ladies.
Right.
He'd already engaged a Hungarian trio to play dinner music.
Yeah.
He wanted someone to play for dancing, and he wanted our little 7-piece band that did the rock and roll bit as well. So we persuaded the bandmaster. This was a good job. We made sure that he wasn't the short out of it.
Okay.
It was all nicely organised. Now we could only play there when there wasn't a curfew on, because the trouble was on then. It was, steeped in.
Oh yeah, of course.
Very, very dangerous place. Nothing like it is
Right.
at the moment. No, nothing at all. And we could walk there. And so when there wasn't a curfew on, we'd walk our way there, and we'd get a drink on the house, and then we'd play half an hour. Then in our half an hour break, we got a dinner, and then we played another half hour. But there was a snag, because it was a nightclub for English officers and their ladies, just outside a Turkish village. Wasn't an ideal situation place when the trouble was on, which was in the Greeks and Turks in those times. So one of us had to be armed. Now we wore little tuxedo monkey jackets, dressed in. And you couldn't very well sit there on the stage with a rifle or a machine gun, it didn't really look good. But me being the leader of the band, it was really had to be armed.
Right.
So I had what I think most people would know as a Colt 45 or a Colt 38. Well, mine was a .38 pistol handgun,
Right.
as cowboys used to use. But you couldn't have it on your belt because you couldn't show it.
Right.
So, and they didn't have a shoulder holster.
Right.
So I managed to procure a webbing holster that you normally clip on your belt.
Yeah.
But it would fit under your arm.
Okay.
But I had nothing to fasten it with, so we tied it all with string. We had it wrapped around my neck and under my shirt and everything, so you couldn't see it. Because this isn't in view, but you've got to imagine that when you're a trumpet player and you've got a .38 pistol under your arm, and you play with your left elbow stuck up in the air like that. You're playing like that. But I used to have great visions of being invaded by terrorists and me doing a John Wayne diving under the piano, all barrels firing. The truth to tell, I couldn't have got the gun out of the holster. Absolutely no way. So, I mean, that was really, and it's all true, totally true that.
Wow.
But the one thing, and this it puzzles me. Now, just when I think about it, it's a wonder rather than puzzles me. Theo had a photograph album, and it was quite big, quite a big photograph album, not a small pocket one, quite a big one. And he only had one photograph on every page.
Mm-hmm.
And when he rolled it up, it just said, "Friends." And when he turned it over, the first photograph on there was a photograph of Theo with Frank Sinatra. Photograph. He turned it over again, was Theo, David Gardner.
Oh,
We turned it over again with Theo, with Betty Grable. Again, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis. You could go on till the end of that album.
Right.
And the very last photograph in that album is our 7-piece band. Theo. Photograph by everybody in the band.
wow.
And I wonder, what happened to
When
the
is it that?
photograph album?
Yeah.
You know,
Amazing to find that.
what do people think when they look through there and they see Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, etc., etc., etc.? And when they get to the end, it's who with these says, sure, but you know, really. Well, and you know, I think about that, and I wonder where that album ever
man.
to, you know. And I mean, think of the company we're in. It might have only been in the photograph, but
Yeah, you were in the same book as Frank Sinatra.
yeah, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible.
Correct.
Well, we came home from Cyprus. The trouble finished.
Mm-hmm.
And peace treaty was signed in 1959, and then Cyprus was paradise lost. Absolutely paradise lost.
Right.
And if I hadn't have had 2 years left in doing the forces, I'd have stayed there.
Really?
Not knowing that there'd be other troubles that would follow
Yeah.
later on in the 60s, not knowing that then, or 70s. But it was an absolutely superb place. Not like you've
I picked on
know
it.
it now. You know, it was,
Probably not it's back.
oh,
So
it was something absolutely superb.
By that time, when you were playing in that dance band, were you doing all the arrangements and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, was that how that started?
No, there were a lot of... No, I mean, I first started writing when I was 15.
Right.
I wrote a march when I was 15 and I got a wrong note in it. And the bandmaster at Nolla Hall, the late Rodney Mashford,
Oh, yeah.
he told me that it'd be an action to be flat. I put it right. And when I returned to Bury, before we went to Cyprus, there were some guys that played in the band, were associated, they all played in brass bands, all had played in brass bands. And there were two that played in the Ratcliffe Borough Band.
Right.
Brothers, and they played in the Ratcliffe Borough Band. And we all went to a rehearsal one night to help the band out. And I took this mark and I took this march and they played it through, and the band took it as a signature tune.
Okay.
It didn't have a title, so it got called Ratcliffe Borough. That's the first thing that I did. I wrote that when I was 15.
Right.
But I had an interest in arranging. That's
Right.
what I wanted to do. And getting towards the end of my service career, I seriously considered applying to go back to Nolla Hall as a student bandmaster.
Right.
Right.
And 24 hours later, I turned it down because I knew that that really wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
My ambition was, I guess it still is because life's been very good to me. My ambition was to be a professional arranger,
Right.
not a composer. I've never
No, yeah.
considered myself.
You have
written
written things,
I've written an awful
Yeah.
lot of things, but
Yeah.
I've written a lot of marches all over the world. But that was to be, my ambition was to be
Yeah.
a professional.
Was that how? Because I know in your biography there's mention of the Leeds Majestic Ballroom. Is that how that started? With arranging.
Well,
Yeah.
I got there because when I came out of the army, I went to live with my father. My father had remarried, and my mother had remarried, and they only lived about 5 miles from what actually. Where I went to live with my father, and for lots of reasons, I mean, I didn't have a job, but I knew I could play the trumpet. I could basically, I suppose, anyway. And I did get a position to play lead trumpet with a dance band. But in those days, there were 2 sets of bands, or 2 sets of ballrooms. There were a Mecca ballroom and the Rank ballroom.
Yeah.
And not the bands themselves, but the musical directors, the leaders of the band, they always got removed every 2 years from one place to another.
Okay.
And I applied for a band. I think they were playing in Eastbourne, but they were getting moved to somewhere else on the south coast. And basically, subject to an audition, which didn't bother me, I got the job as lead trumpet with the band.
Mm-hmm.
But my sister and her little girl, really baby then, had been enticed to come and live with us at my dad's house.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd come for tea one day, and she just said to me, she said, I wouldn't come to live here if you weren't here. Well, I wasn't going to move to Eastbourne.
Right.
I couldn't do that. So I turned the job down.
Right.
And got on with life there.
Mm.
But a bit later on, because things got a bit unsettled, then I went to live with my mother. And my mother, of course, has supported me.
Yeah.
In anything that I did.
Yeah.
I got to do all the arrangements for a local pantomime and directed that. So I sort of foot through the door there and something for the local operatic society. And then I did arrangements for 2 songs for what they called the Northern Song Festival, which was a bit like our brass band festival in the areas, where they had area competitions, and then suddenly got through to a semi-finals, etc.
Okay.
Before you ended up with 3 songs and you picked the Eurovision song.
Really?
So I did a couple of arrangements for somebody for that, and I got on the inside of the Leeds Majestic ballroom, knowing all the guys in the band. So I got to do an arrangement, perhaps not every week, but a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, which was a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
And playing around, the trumpet-wise, I managed to sort of scrape a living.
Right.
And then one of the guys in the band told me about an advert that a band going to a holiday camp in Blackpool wanted a lead trumpet player. So
Okay.
phoned up, did an audition, got the job, found myself playing lead trumpet in this band in Pontins in Blackpool.
Right.
Which was a great experience, especially doing the cabarets and playing for the artists. I don't think that the musical director was totally on top of the job, really. I did some arrangements for him, but at the end of the season, it was quite apparent he wasn't going to get the job the following year, and I applied for it and I got the job.
Yeah. Right.
So I ended up as musical director at Pontins, which was again, you stop to look and think of the artist that you played for. And, it was a great experience.
So were they bringing all these artists and singers? They were bringing songs and saying, right, I need an arrangement of whatever it was.
Well, your local internal cabaret, they did, because they would ask for certain things.
Yes.
In fact, there was a duo, and I know they're no longer alive now, but they were on a cabaret while I was in Blackpool, and then they went to Australia, and I did all their arrangements for their new acts.
Okay.
And they disappeared. Never heard from them again after I'd done them.
Right.
They were a couple called Esther and Smart. And
where did you pick up the ability to arrange? Was it taught at Nella Hall, or were you fairly self-taught?
Not as a pupil. It was just something that I felt I wanted to do.
You did very much the same, didn't you, Sandy? You started very young.
Strange. I mean, Derek Broadbent, but you probably just listened to loads and loads of stuff as well, didn't you? And learn from the sort of music that was knocking about at the time, and learn by ear, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I it's not something that I really know the answer to. I just did it. I always liked the pressure. I always remember the bandmaster in the army wanted something doing for a job in the officers' mess we were playing that evening.
Right.
And he came in to rehearse the band at 2:00 in the afternoon, and he said, "Can you do a little arrangement of, I don't know what it was now, of so-and-so, so-and-so." And I said, "Yeah, fine." He said, "We want to play it this evening."
Oh.
So I said, "All right, fair enough, fine." So I put my cornet in my case. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to do this arrangement." He said, "You can't go for 3:00. It's like you took an hour out the afternoon, but then you do it, and I love that.
Yeah.
I did one with the Staley Bridge Band for Cilla Black.
Right.
And the music came by train to Bradford, and we pick it up there, and we had to get it back on the train the following morning.
Yeah, no internet, no emails.
No.
No, it's not.
Stick it in the
Stick
it on a train.
That was Bannerman.
Right. Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and something to do with the secretary.
When you hear
stuff tonight.
when you hear all the, like Nelson Riddle and stuff, the stories about arranging for Sinatra and all that, doing very, very famous arrangements in the back of a taxi on the way to the recording session and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all done under pressure, isn't it? It's not that sort of.
Yeah, but your pressure's on the clock.
Yeah,
That's the bit, I think, that you've.
But it'll be survival of the.
Of course, as well, Derek. Not only to score it, you've got to write the parts as well.
Oh yeah. You've got to do that. I mean, there's no pushing a button or anything.
No.
Even now you can't push a button with my arrangements. I'm sorry.
Still done by hand, aren't
They're
it?
all done by hand.
Yeah.
Pencil.
It's all in your head. You can hear all the
Yeah.
sounds and what have you.
But I mean, the Pontins days, they were great.
Yeah.
It was a great learning.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It must have been.
Yeah,
It must have been hard.
It's a story on its own, this Pontins.
Yeah.
Can't let everything go out what happens in a holiday camp.
So, Derek, you came into brass bands again, and you ended up with a local band to here in Huddersfield. The Slowett band, Slaithwaite it's spelled, I believe, but everybody now calls it Slowett.
Younger then call it Slathwaite.
Yeah.
Oh, they still smell it.
Right.
Smell it.
Yeah. Everybody's got so many different ways of saying it, haven't they? How did that come about, Derek?
Well, I met my now wife Barbara, and Barbara and I were engaged. You start to look at what you're doing in your life, and this was like towards the end of the summer season. I didn't meet Barbara there, I met her from Bradford. Barbara's father told me about an advert in the paper that this band wanted to do. A conductor, wasn't a resident or anything, or a musical director. They wanted a conductor, and it was the Slowett band.
Right.
And they were, in those days, we're talking end of the 60s, towards the end of the 60s, 66, 67, that there was a great surge on peripatetic teachers in schools. It was it became like almost an explosion. That many people getting these sort of well-paid jobs. And that Slowett had applied for having this peripatetic teacher application to their conductor.
Right.
So I kind of saw that like an opportunity of earning a living.
Get leads. Yeah, steady salary.
So I had about 3 weeks left to do the summer season. So I drove across from Blackpool to Slowett, and I did my audition, and I got the feeling. I stopped for a drink before I went back to Blackpool, and I stopped for a drink with the band, and I got the impression that they wanted me to go there.
Yeah.
And the way they treated me, it was very, very nice. I got that feeling that we've only got one more person to listen to, but we think that we'd like you to take on the job. When I got into the last week in the summer season, they offered me in the summer season the following year at Blackpool. Now that changed an awful lot of things then.
Yeah.
And I could take my own band, the guys that I'd had with me, which were a stunning group of people to have with you for a summer. That I could, I could have them. So I thought, well, if I do that, it's not fair to take Slowett on. Even though I've not got the job, it's not.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I'm not made that way. So I finished the summer season on a Saturday, and packed my gear up and drove home. Well, living with my mother, and drove home. On the Sunday morning, I just got in the car and I drove to Slowett to tell them that not to count me in.
Right.
And basically they were saying, you know, we're glad you've come because we want to offer you the job. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I don't, you know, I can't take it on. It's not fair to take it on.
Right.
Left it at that. So they set somebody else on. I'm not going to name any names for that. Not really fair. They set somebody else on. And I think they let them down quite badly early on. So about 3 weeks later, the end of October, I got a phone call from the secretary of the band, a guy called Tommy Helliwell, who was Roy Newsom's uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Roy had Slough. Just gone to die at that time. Saying they had this problem. Could I take the band to a contest?
Mm-hmm.
So, fine, well, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Ironically, the test piece was Rhapsody in Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Slough. And also, could I do Armistice Day on the Sunday, a week before the contest?
Yes.
And we could, you know, do another rehearsal there. So that's what I did. We won the contest. It was not per mil, but we won the contest. And I said, well, will you carry on until we sort something else out? So I carried on for 6.5 years.
Yeah.
and it never went back. So I got a job, Bob and I got married. And,
There's a famous... There's a film, I think I've talked to you about this, Derek, on YouTube. I think you can find it on it. BFI, British Film Institute.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a film that was made when you were at Slough. Michael Parkinson does the narration on it. And it's still in the band room. The band room looks the same, actually. And you are there looking really dapper with your shirt and tie and your waistcoat. And you're rehearsing Life Divine.
Yeah.
And you're setting them up, and as they're sort of warming up, you know, for the camera or whatever, they're all coming in. But the guy that's playing fourth man, whoever he is, comes past you. You're stood in situ with the conductor. This obviously he comes sort of sidling past with a pint in his hand, puts his pint down by his chair, and then sits down as if right, we're ready now. But then you rehearse Life Divine, yeah. So and then there's things on the band bus and stuff. Obviously, going to a contest somewhere or whatever. But it's fascinating.
It's your style in them early days.
It's the same. It's
the same.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's the same.
well,
Yeah,
that's definitely
the same stance and the way that you looked and all.
Well, and again, you've got to think back in those days. Of course, bands were in high pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this situation where the band world was beginning to change into low pitch, a concert pitch, and they found a way of adding little ferrules to tubes to make them longer. But the instruments were never in tune.
Right. It was like that.
And the thing with Slough was, well, you know, do we have all these alterations done, or do we buy a new set of instruments?
Okay.
We didn't have a lot of money or anything like that.
No.
And they didn't do a lot of engagements other than concerts.
Okay.
I won a lot of concerts.
But the contest scene was far in excess of what it is now.
Huge, yeah. I think we won 12 contests 1 year.
Right.
We played at 13, we couldn't last in the 13.
Yeah, we're judging that one.
I don't know, we won 12 contests on the road. 12 first prize.
Right.
And
then you came third.
And then we came third. 13th we came on. But that's by the by. But to get some money, I in pantomime, always played a piece in the interval in the little band. Because the little band was 2 saxes, 2 brass, and 3 rhythm.
Yeah.
So that's all you need. All specially arranged, which sounded as big as you wanted it to sound. And the piece we played, I don't know whether you remember Benny Hill programs. Yakety sax.
Yeah.
And I arranged that.
Okay.
And called it Yakety brass.
Right.
Well, also there's another perk in this as well, is that I thought it was me being awkward at the time to prove that somebody else could do it. I took on being secretary of the Slavic band clubs as well as the musical director.
Wow.
And I proved that the guy that kept doing it every year, there wasn't just him that could do it.
Right.
You see, when it came to our annual dinner, it was what did they offer a cabaret? So I said, oh, I'll provide the cabaret. So I started out a handful of arrangements to do 2 or 3 little quarter of an hour blocks or something like that.
Okay.
And pulling this group out of the van, and I called them the Slavic Sound.
Right.
But it wasn't good enough name, so the idea was, because our theme to the tune was Yakety Sax, I called the group the Yakety Brass.
Right.
And because I did vocals as well, and I could be knocking.
There must be recordings of this somewhere. Must be.
We did, I mean, it's life, and
Sounds like a lot of fun, doing it.
it's a show business.
Yeah.
Like, it was, because the thing was that, I mean, the working men's club in the area, probably, I don't know if it's still in now. It was
It's still there. I mean,
Brownlee, was it Brownlee Working Men's Club?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
If you
Leonard's.
play a club, you play in Brownlee
Yeah.
Working Men's Club. Well, we got a job there nearly every month,
Right.
and the place was sold out. And I had one rule in, is that whatever we did with the Yakety Brass, the only people that made any financial reward out of it
Yeah.
were the drummer and the lead guitarist.
Okay.
Because I had somebody in the band that played bass guitar, and everybody else came out of the band, even somebody who played the piano
Right.
came out of the band, and nobody else got paid except the drummer and the lead guitarist,
Yeah.
because they were in the band, and you couldn't expect them.
Yeah.
All these they could go and play anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was tremendously popular group. I'm sorry to say, it got there were people in the band. Once we got the instruments, once the brass band had got its full set of instruments, that wanted to go out and make a few both for themselves. I could understand that, because they played for 2 years or something, or for nothing. I could understand that, but I couldn't understand the wanting to do it for the detriment of the brass band, because that was not my idea.
Right.
I wasn't going to let that happen. So I said, enough's enough.
Yeah.
And there were some of them who weren't very happy with it. Not fair enough, I'm no grudges about that whatsoever. But I knew that then it was time for me to leave the band.
Right.
I know I was never ever a member of the band.
Yeah.
6.5 years, I was only ever a guest, but in that time there. But I knew it was time for me to step back from it. And I suppose you could say I got some sort of a reputation as a conductor in the area. I won a lot of contests and did some good concerts, I think. I was a bit low to audition anywhere.
Right.
I'm about.
Yeah.
Does that sound awful?
No.
I don't mean it to. And then, of course, I got the British Bandsman newspaper delivered every
My dad
week.
used to have
came out
one.
then. And when it came out, I came home from work on an Monday evening, and there was an advert in it that the Brickhouse and Rustic Band wanted a resident conductor.
Right.
And I didn't live all that far, really, from Brickhouse, and not far from where we live now, really.
Right.
And I was low to apply, and I ummed and ahed with Barbara, and then after we'd had our evening meal, I said, I'll ring up.
Yeah.
And again, this is true. I dialed the number, and whoever answered the phone, the secretary answered the phone, and he said, who's speaking? I said, I'm not prepared to. I'm inquiring about the job as resident conductor, but I'm not prepared to say my name because I already conduct the band. And just said it's in the strictest of confidence.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm Derek Broadbent. And the answer back was, I'm just looking for your phone number in the phone book.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. I was seconds away from them phoning me, rather than me.
Yeah.
not that really matters.
Yeah, but yeah.
I bet it was quite an experience to go into that band, because what were they a big step up at that time?
Well, Sabbath had just come down from what was then the championship first section, because there were only 4 sections.
Yeah, yes.
Sabbath they'd just got them back into the first section. But it was obviously a different league.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. I went and I did an audition. And from this day and age of banding, you'll love this, because I went and did my audition, and then the band invited me to go to the local pub with them for a drink afterwards, and said, we'll be interested in you taking on the job.
Right.
Or a final family, let's call that an agreement. So they just said, they set me on 3 months probation. Does that happen now? Do you get it?
Hey, I'll tell you what happened to me at night. Yeah, I mean, again, they're talking early 80s, and the audition. I was in the band in first horn. I'd only been there 2 months. Yeah, and then Waddy left, Kevin Wadsworth, and they auditioned 3 people for this whole horn share, and I was sat in the band on first horn there, and end of the rehearsal, they sort of agreed between themselves. None of them were any good. Yeah, and Jeffco said, that lad, he didn't even know my name, that lad on first horn that was just set on, he's better than them. He's better than any of them. He says, set him on for 6 months. And if you were sat there, I was sat there, right? He says, set him on for 6 months, see how he does, and if he doesn't do it, then. And I'm thinking, well, that's me. And so, yeah, it did happen, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm talking conductor-wise. Now it seems to me, from what I observe, is that it's conductors set bands on a 3-month probation.
Yeah,
like the other way around,
Yeah.
So, but then, you see, we're only within weeks of me taking that job on.
Yeah.
Then set on a great Jim Scott.
Yeah.
As professional conductor.
Yeah.
What year are we talking now?
73.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And
didn't they win the Nationals in 73 on Freedom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what they'd set Jim on as a professional conductor, because I think he just had some success with a Liverpool band.
Camel Laird.
Camel Laird.
Yeah, yeah. That was the one that John Mays used to play for, yeah.
Anyway, they set him on, and I mean, what they'd done is they'd given Jim all the concerts that he could do.
Right.
So me as resident conductor, I didn't actually start with the band until after they opened.
Right.
So I did, which was the Cursed Hudson.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot to do with the Cursed Hudson. And Jim, he did 90-something% of the rehearsal. Right. So we hardly spoke.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he did all the concert. And I had to go to every concert.
Yeah.
So I got on the coach, and the band wouldn't let you lift anything or move anything. It was, you're the resident conductor, you don't do that, we do that. And that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Approach to yourself. And I sat on the coach, I sat on the concert, I listened to the concert, I got back on the coach again, I came home, and I did that, I don't know how many times. And then, prior to us going to London, doing down 2 jobs on a Friday night and a Saturday night. And Friday night in the church, I had no rehearsal, because they'd been rehearsing. No rehearsal. And Tony Whittaker, who became a great friend of mine, Tony came up to me and said, do you think you ought to have a word with the band before we play? So I said, yes, Ross. Got the band together, and I thought that, and just said, gentlemen, I said, there are things on this program that I've conducted many times before. I said, there are things in this program I've never seen in my life before.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll make a deal with you. I said, you watch me, and I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
And let's be you, again. Let's say, what about tomorrow, Derek? I said, tomorrow you watch me. And that was the right answer.
Yeah.
That was totally lovely.
Yeah.
Couldn't have answered that better.
No.
And of course, then we went on in London on Freedom.
Yeah.
Well, that really put the band on a high.
Yeah.
And I started to get some of the engagements with the band.
Okay.
And then we had one in the famous Sunderland Empire, which was a graveyard for most performers. And it was with a choir, and I was conducting this. And it was a good night. Everything went okay. And we're on the coach coming back, and the one and only Jeff Hurst came and sat next to me, because I sat on my own on the coach, and Jeff came and sat next to me. And, let me just refer to this, is that on the rehearsal on the Thursday night, the secretary had come to me and said, "Don't you have anything else you to wear other than a black evening dress? Because you look a bit dull in the middle of the band, you know."
Yeah.
And I just said no. I said, "Well, maybe we should see what we could do about that."
Right.
You know.
Okay.
So then I must say that, because when Jeff came and sat next to me, and then he said, if only Jeff could say, "Now then, lad," he said, "I'm doing a good job. We're all enjoying you being here, and I just wanted to let you know." So I thought, well, I better drop a hint here. I said, "It's the last day of my probation today, Jeff. This evening, Jeff. We told you to get a white jacket, haven't we?" That was the answer.
Right.
I'm fishing, you know.
Yeah.
Just saying, what's going to happen tomorrow? Told me to get a white jacket. So that was.
Do you think that was the signal then?
Eh?
The signal, you've got the job.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. You know.
Yeah.
No. You know.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. That, you know.
Yeah.
It was really
Real high to Jeff, wasn't it?
Love to you, yeah.
So we've come to the end of what I think has been a fascinating conversation with Derek Broadbent. Keep tuned in, because soon we'll be releasing programme 2 with Derek, which gets even more fascinating. So thank you, Derek, for joining us on Smith and Grezzy, and we'll see you again very soon. Thank you.